I am delighted to welcome our distinguished keynote speaker, Mrs. Devika Rani Vimal. Ms. Rani Vimal is a global pioneer and leader in the edtech industry. She formed the LTT Global with a vision to empower people and transform organizations by making digital learning accessible and affordable for all. The learning platforms have been recognized by the United Nations and the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development as proven building capacity platforms. She continues her work with leading partners globally to support sustainable talent upskilling. She has also been instrumental in implementation of numerous projects to empower women, youth, people with special needs, including the blind and visually impaired, and refugees to have access to quality learning to upskill themselves. She has received numerous awards globally, including the Entrepreneurial Excellence Award for Astounding Services in the field of global mobile learning and edutainment services at the 7th National Entrepreneurs Day Awards 2020 by National Foundation for Entrepreneurship Development and Asia CEO Community's Inspirational Female Business Leaders Award. She serves as board member for various organizations globally and also an honorary advisor, mentor, and speaker. Currently, she is the co-founder and COO of LTT Global Communications Private Limited, Selangor, Malaysia. I now invite our distinguished speaker, Mrs. Rani Vimal, to deliver the keynote address.
Thank you, Madam Ramya. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible, ma'am.
Okay, and you can see my screen too, right?
Yes, I can see.
Okay. A very happy morning to everybody and Vanakkam to Dr. M. Venkataraman, Conference Chair, Dr. KBJ Prof. Dr. Ganesan, Conference Co-Chair, Madam Ramya, Conference Director, Justice P. Kalayarasan, Chairman of PT Chengalvaraya Naicker Polytechnic College, Tamil Nadu, Dr. K. Ramalingam and Dr. N. Veerapan, Trustees, Dr. Pratap Singh Desai, Chief Guest, Dr. Sankara Subramaniam, Guest of Honor, and everybody present here today. Thank you so much for making time to join us here. I'm truly honored to deliver my keynote today at the first International Conference on Global Research Perspectives in Engineering and Technology for Holistic Restructuring. Today, we live in a world that is moving so fast than ever before, and rightly said by Dr. Pratap that it's at the blink of an eye that everything is changing. But sad to say that in the speed, we have neglected key resources that we have taken for granted, that Mother Earth and Mother Universe will be forever forgiving and giving. Research and reports reveal nature and our planet are on the brink of an environmental catastrophe. This brings me to share with you my topic today, knowledge economy, engineers, panacea for sustainable development. Yes, you, our engineers and researchers are going to make things right and save the environment and the world. Let me share with you what we mean by sustainable development. There are 4 components: people, planet, purpose, and profit. And sustainable development, in short, means that we are satisfying the needs of the present without adversely affecting the conditions for our future generations. But really, is the current world system sustainable or unsustainable? According to David Suzuki, he said that we are polluting air and water and soil that's actually keeping us alive. And we are destroying the biodiversity. At this rate, no amount of money will actually save us if everything is polluted. Let's take an example of air pollution. It kills an estimated 7 million people worldwide every year. And air pollution is actually 1/3 of the deaths come from stroke, lung cancer, and heart disease because of air pollution, according to the World Health Organization. So what is sustainable development? Sustainable development actually takes into account social, economic, environment, and human, all synergizing together. So when we talk about people, profit, planet, and progress just now, or purpose, we are actually talking about people, we are talking about quality of life, having health and wellness, profit meaning that productivity in producing, distributing goods and services for consumption, as much as there's profit, there must be very little wastage. Planet, we are talking about sustainable ecosystems, like survival of community and ecosystems across lifespans and generations, not just humans, but all lifespans, because in the end, we do not want our future generations to look at a tree in the form of an image on their computer or their phone. We want them to feel the tree and appreciate it. Similarly, we do not want them to see an elephant as an image. We must make and take the right course of direction so that all these things are preserved. And when we talk about progress, we are talking about adaptive innovation, learning to move with change, to use data in the right way. We need a strong knowledge base to drive economic growth through innovative new products, processes, and solutions to provide the foundations for future prosperity. And it can only happen with knowledge. And knowledge comes from research. And once again, it shows that all of you are the drivers for the sustainable future. When we talk about United Nations, they came up with Sustainable Development Goals. But in 2000, they called it the Millennial Development Goals, and they had 15 goals to achieve by 2015. But very, very disappointing. Not all countries participated, and none of the goals were achieved totally. Then in 2015, they sat around in a round table again, and then they released 17 goals this time, and they called it Sustainable Development Goals. Now, out of these 17 Sustainable Development Goals that is supposed to be achieved in the next 15 years, that is by 2030, the most important is Sustainable Development Goal 4. I know you see on my screen Goal 12, but I have to tell you about Goal 4 first, because it forms the primary foundation to achieve all the other 16 goals. Because education is the key to a better tomorrow. And Sustainable Development Goal 4 tells you if you have to give access to quality education to everybody. And promoting learning must be inclusive, meaning no one is left behind, whether they are in poverty, whether they are special needs, whether they are refugees, no matter wherever they are, quality education should never be denied, but quality education should be made available. And the third part, which is very important, is to encourage lifelong learning to remain relevant and competitive, to keep and adapt with changes so that we remain relevant. So in using science responsibly, we actually must look at goal number 12, which talks about ensuring sustainable consumption and production patterns. So what they mean here is actually we use science to promote health and wellness, manage and use natural resources responsibly, manage chemicals and waste, and also to reduce waste generation. What is waste generation? It's waste that's not created yet. So if you're producing a new product, you must make sure that you use very little production, packaging, as much as possible, maybe recycled material, because you do not want them, after opening your product, to create waste. So we have to think of waste reduction in the initial process itself. All right. Now, many people say technology is the culprit to what has happened now. Technology is the root of the environmental, climate, and social problems that we have today. It's true. I agree. It's also the inset of the Industrial Revolution, the industrialization, and the economic growth that has also been a catalyst to cause all the havoc. But as much as it is bad, and it was bad, technology today is actually more of a savior. Why I say this? Because we have become more mature, we understand how to use technology maturely, and the innovations that we create and we develop, as much as it is used to ease our daily lives, like artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, big data, robotic processors, 3D printers, they are all used to actually make life easier for us, whether personal or in terms of business. But we can use these things to also create data that is complex, analyze it, and aimed at sustainable decision making in areas such as climate change, air, water security, biodiversity conservation, disaster resilience, etc. Right? So we must make technology our friend, not our foe. We use it, but we must use it responsibly. A good example would be like water, right? If you use water correctly, it's actually a good thing. But if water is used carelessly, or like floods and everything, right? Because of infrastructure, you didn't realize the badness of water. It caused disaster. The same with fire. You can use it for cooking, but fire neglected cause destruction. So we have to look at things and use it in the right way to make it win-win in all angles. Okay? Now that we understand all about what's happening, engineers are indeed tasked with a huge responsibility, where they have to make sure that whatever that they are doing is actually helping to develop sustainable development, right? But like Einstein said, we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking that we used when we created them. We have to shift from traditional engineering to sustainable engineering, meaning engineers and researchers need to consider holistically the whole system and have in mind the end, and then work backwards to achieve sustainable engineering. They have to look at technical and non-technical matters, synergize it or synergistically. They have to strive to solve problems just not for the present, but also for the infinite future. They must also acknowledge the fact that they cannot work in silo anymore. They have to work with experts of other disciplines and together come out with a sustainable solution. But it's difficult, I know, because a lot of people, especially in Asia, we are very possessive of the knowledge that we have. And we believe that by sharing knowledge, people will steal our ideas or thoughts and things like that. But if we accept the fact that by collaboration, we will make a better world, then we must collaborate. We must believe that our knowledge will be shared in a good way. Should never think that people will steal the knowledge. You have to be careful, but you must be willing to share, because that is the way forward. Okay? So by having sustainable engineering in place, what happens? We reduce operation costs of the building or any product, right? We also utilize renewable energy sources that will make buildings less reliant on traditional power sources, because traditional power sources cost a lot of money and it's a huge overhead for a lot of people. Harnessing power from solar, wind, and water actually is a way to create its own power at minimal costs. Now, I was talking about sustainable development goals, and let me share with you how it's actually effective, right? Knowing the 17 goals is one thing, but how it should be used is another thing. So when I told you earlier that goal number 4 is the primary foundation, it's true. And technology can be used to actually disseminate information now. It can reach to people who has mobile device and data anywhere. They don't have to have a computer. Their mobile device is already such a powerful tool in their hand. And because of education, it has a direct impact on decent work and growth, on industry, on innovation and infrastructure, on responsible consumption and production, and also to do partnerships. Because with knowledge, you can work along with other people with knowledge to create more things. Because you have all the 4 goals under education in place, innovation is fostered. You have clean water and sanitation. You have affordable and clean energy. Life below water is, you help them to survive better, and also life on land survives better. So our future generation will actually get to see a tree or an elephant or fish. They won't go extinct. Now, if we have all of this in place, eventually it will lead to no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, gender equality, reduce inequalities, so there's not so many people that are poor, like just now when Dr. Pratap Singh had said, there's only about 15% who has the 80% having 15% of wealth, right? So we can reduce inequalities if we follow all these guidelines properly. We'll also create sustainable cities and communities. Climate actions taken, our climate will be good. Our hole in the atmosphere will get smaller. Weather will be better. And of course, finally, peace, justice, and strong institutions will be built. Now, when we talk about all of this, we will actually see that engineers have a huge responsibility. When they develop, what they have to do is to understand and develop a vision first. Based on the vision, they will create and they will try to understand what is it in place at the moment, and then identify the processes to redesign to meet sustainable requirements, and then implement all these new processes, make it operational, and while it's operational, evaluate and have continuous ongoing improvement. In this way, the engineers will actually create great things for people, and everybody will have a better life. Let me share with you some of the success stories of design and sustainable development. You can see here Patagonia. Patagonia actually is a company that has put in place artificial intelligence as a central workstation, automatically controlling all operation systems from an indoor environment to outdoor irrigation. Bathrooms, toilets are all equipped with water control sensors. Even the landscape and plants around the buildings are chosen and designed to diminish water usage. Now, they also encourage workers to use electric cars and get financial compensation for coming to work by bike or public transport. These are all the things that they are doing to actually help with creating a great world for everybody, right? Now, this one is actually called NEOM. NEOM is actually the Sustainability Dream City, which Saudi Arabia is funding 500 billion to digital innovations that will actually bring possible and impossible technologies together to serve humanity with incredible imagination, and also to run the city with the help of renewable energy instead of fossil fuels. They are also looking, because they are in a desert environment, at areas on how to save water. So they have smart sensors for water management and rainwater collection. And also they are looking at bringing the temperature lower so that it won't be hot by controlling wind speed. So that's one example. Microsoft also has things in place, and their cloud computing has already helped to empower energy efficiency and material waste reduction, because lots of people don't need servers, they use the cloud, and open source software also minimize cooling processes, ventilation, and air conditioning, making fewer data centers, thus less carbon emission. Orsted is actually another company that is working towards an entirely green world with 100% carbon-free energy supplement by 2025. And what they are doing is they are diminishing the oil and coal-based activity at the moment, replacing them in favor of clean energy systems. They own more than 1,000 offshore wind turbines equipped with sensors and seamlessly generating valuable data that will help them to move towards their goal. Finally, we have Walmart as an example. In Walmart, they actually have built-in IoT or Internet of Things sensors on their shelf. And they also have shelf scanning robots to prove to be sustainable in terms of energy savings and customer experience. Why is this so? Because they will be able to bring in stock on time, and they will be able to manage customer expectation of products so that there is a smooth flow between replenishing of stock. This way, it's faster than actually having people to walk around to check and do stock check and everything. When it's done with sensors and scanning robots, it's very efficient. And they also have express online efficient services for mobile returns and QR code scanning of items. They also enable their customers.
Mrs. Rani, sorry to interrupt you. Can you kindly conclude in a couple of minutes, as we have to follow the itinerary?
Sure.
We're actually behind the time. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
No worries. We'll do. So they also have put in place a self-manned drone called RoboBee, which actually helps with detecting agricultural problems and control Walnut's food supply chain to be actually minimizing food waste. Now, how do they achieve all the sustainable development goals? Because their vision is to use their strength to help people live better and preserve the planet. And their mission statement is respect for individual, service to our customers, and strive for excellence. If they have these values in place and if their employees follow it, that's how they achieve all these sustainable development goals with ease. Finally, I have to ask you this question. Is it too late to make a positive impact on the environment? Can we make a change? As future engineers, have I inspired you to think about positive actions to be taken? I leave you with these words by Arthur Ashe, who said, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. And like Dr. Pratap also said, he said, if you have knowledge, it's not good enough. You have to convert it to technology to actually see it being beneficial to humankind. That's when you have achieved and you have become the pinnacle of your success. Thank you very much. I wish you 2 days of great experience of learning and enjoy, but remember to put it into practice. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mrs. Rani, for your wonderful presentation on sustainable development. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.